Welcome to episode 3 of Tips for Tutors: How to Prepare for the First Meeting with a Potential Student and Their Family. I'm Kelly Gartner, and Brittany and I are excited to share what we've learned from doing dozens of phonics screenings over the past year and a half. In this presentation, you will learn the steps to take before setting up the meeting, what to take with you when you meet your potential new student, tips for conducting the screening, and how to decide if you want to work with the student. Once you've made the initial contact with a parent or guardian, you will set up a time to talk about the child and their concerns over the phone. Brittany usually receives emails from families interested in tutoring. I often get PMs on Facebook because that's where I get most of my referrals. Whether you get a referral through email, a phone call, or social media, try to respond within 24 hours of the request for information. For the first several phone calls, I kept the initial phone call checklist in front of me so I didn't forget what I was supposed to talk about. I also wrote down some talking points about brain friendly reading, what it is, how it works, and how children benefit from the program. I always emphasize the play aspect of our curriculum, that children are engaged the whole time with fun games and activities, which takes the pressure off of kids who are experiencing reading difficulties. This is something that the parents are happy to hear, and it's often what makes them interested enough to commit to an initial screening. Now, Brittany's going to talk about organizing the paperwork for the initial screening.
Getting ready for the initial meeting. We recommend having a folder or binder to house all of your blank screening materials so they are ready to go. Include the parent questionnaire, your tutoring contract and payment information, and all of your screening materials. I keep both a real and nonsense word screener, spaced passages, and some blank sheets of paper or a notebook for the students' writing and spelling samples. Don't forget pencils or pens and paper for you to take notes. It is also nice to have a clipboard, though not necessary. With the phonics screener, don't forget to have both a student copy and one for you to take notes in as well. Kelly is going to share with us what her screening binder looks like.
This is the binder I take with me to all of my screening appointments. It has 5 different sections. The first one has the kindergarten screener, the letters that are just a little bit bigger than the ones on our regular screeners. Then it has the words. And these are all for the children to read, not my recording sheets. So I have the real word screener, and then I have the nonsense word screener. After that, I have high frequency words and lists of the puzzle words from the training companion guide. So depending on what I observe during the first part of the screening, I might have children read just maybe the first column and see how that goes. If they can read most of the words in this column, I might continue to the next one. And I either will have them read all of them if I have an older child, or once they start to kind of get frustrated because they're not reading the words as well as they want to, I'll just have them stop reading. Sometimes I'll just go straight to the puzzle words because I only have 12 on a page, and it's a little less intimidating than reading the whole high frequency word list. And the last section has all of the space reading passages. Then I have some paper that I use for writing samples or the spelling words that I dictate. And then in the back pocket, I have these directions so that if I need to take a look at it to remember what to do, it's right there with me. I also have a folder with all of the teacher recording sheets in it. So I have the kindergarten screening form, I have the real word screening form, and the nonsense words, depending on which one I'm going to give the child. Here are the high frequency words. That's where I check off the ones that they are reading correctly and then note the words that they read incorrectly. This is all of the puzzle words and the space passages. And then I have the parent questionnaire that I'll give the parent at the beginning of the screening so that they can fill this out. I have my contract that I'm going to discuss with the parent if we're going to move forward with tutoring so that they know what the expectations are. I also keep a sound chart, the first chart and the kindergarten chart. So I can use that to tap the chart and show the child a little bit about what we're going to do during our tutoring lessons.
It also helps to stay organized online. I put all of the documents that I need for a screening in a folder in my Google Drive so that when I go to print out more, I don't waste time searching for them. We also included a template of a contract in case you need a starting point when creating your own. Feel free to screenshot this slide and use it as a guideline when coming up with your own contract.
After doing many screenings with children of various ages and abilities, I needed to bring more than just the screening materials with me to the appointment. Sometimes I had a child who wasn't ready to identify letter sounds on the page or read any of the words on the screening pages. Other times, a child would get frustrated halfway through the screening and start to shut down. So I started bringing Secret Decoder Game, Kindergarten or First Sound Chart, letter tiles, and a Go Fish game with me to appointments. That way, I could pivot away from assessment and toward some of the games and activities that make brain-friendly reading so appealing. Now I incorporate chart tapping, arm spelling, and game playing into my appointments. Not only does this engage the child and make them excited about tutoring, but it also gives me more information about what the child is able to do that I can share with the parents after the screening is over. Next, Brittany has some tips to share about giving the initial screening and how to decide if you want to move forward with tutoring.
Tips for the initial screening. Practice giving the screening with a few children so you are familiar with what it entails. Arrive early so you can greet the child and their family, get settled, and start on time. The screening doesn't have to be an hour long, especially if you are working with a young child. Make sure you leave enough time to talk to the families about what you observed and have a discussion about working with their child going forward. Working with the child and talking to the family, plus setting up your first tutoring session, should take around 45 to 60 minutes. How to decide if you want to work with a child and their family. Think about your sweet spot. What ages do you work well with? For me, I feel like I do best with children ages 7 to 10, but that doesn't mean I won't take on clients outside of that age range. I currently work with a 6, 11, and 13-year-old. How comfortable are you working with a child who has severe reading difficulties, a dyslexia diagnosis, or other disabilities? Don't be afraid to take on a client with learning difficulties, but also communicate your experience level with the child's family so that they have realistic expectations for tutoring. Make sure the parents know your expectations of any work to do in between tutoring sessions, such as tapping the charts and playing the games. If you are meeting with a client at their house, make sure they can provide a quiet space during tutoring sessions. And don't forget to communicate your cancellation policy. After the screening is over and you have shared your observations with parents, you get to decide whether you and the student are a good fit for each other. You could say something like, I know I can help your child. I recommend tutoring once a week. I have availability on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 4 o'clock. Trust your gut and don't be afraid to tell a parent no or that you don't think it is going to work out. It will save you time and hassle in the long run. Kelly and I both have multiple stories about taking on tutoring clients that we probably shouldn't have, which ended up causing us stress, and those clients never lasted more than a few months anyway. Thank you for watching our presentation. For more information, you can visit the We Shall Read YouTube channel. We hope you will join us for episode 4, How to Organize Your Tutoring Materials.